This is Don't Panic, episode number 367, recorded July 17th, 2023. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast on gadgets, the internet, and number one on that list, you. I'm Sean Jennings, joined by two guys who are here for one reason, and that is to celebrate National Zookeeper Appreciation Week. It's Colby Ravindu and Dan Miller. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi, Sean.
That's a true fact I did not make up.
And it was National Ice Cream Day yesterday. Is that right? Because I feel like it was just National Ice Cream Day. But wasn't National Ice Cream Day in June? Or was that National Milkshake Day or something?
No, that was National Donut Day, I think, was in June.
Oh, okay. The donut and the ice cream place are right next to each other.
There you go. A winning combination. And today is World Emoji Day.
Ooh.
So celebrate your
like specifically like the emoji of the world. Like
that would be funny. Each day,
which one?
Emoji.
Because there's a couple different perspectives.
That's true. It's relative to where in the world you are.
It's all emoji. We celebrate them all today, even the ones we never use.
Wow. What's your favorite obscure emoji?
My favorite obscure emoji, I would have to look because it's obscure, right? But I do think my favorite obscure emoji, I think the household items don't get enough play.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like a bathtub or like a light bulb. Or there's the one where it's like it's a saw. It's just like a hand saw.
I like the broom.
Broom's great. Oh, look, there's one. See, there's one where it's like a mousetrap where it's like a piece of cheese with a box and a stick. Like where you pull the stick out.
Oh, yeah,
there's
look
an
at
emoji of that.
Wow.
There's so many of these.
I wonder what the least used emoji are in the US.
I'm sure that's... my guess is it's got to be some of the country flags. That would be when you get to the end of the list and it's every... There's got to be...
It's pretty deep.
Here, least used emoji. Oh, well, I don't know if I believe this. This is emojisvilla.com. Says the least used emojis of this year. No, this can't be right.
Yeah.
The suspense is killing.
What about Emojipedia?
Very valid. I can tell you the most popular emojis.
Which
would not surprise you. Are
the heart,
fire,
the smiley face. Here we go. The least used emojis from Twitter. So this is real-time use tracked on Twitter. So the least used on Twitter. The ones that just say
formerly real-time, probably.
Well, yeah, exactly. The ones that just say ABCD on them. The non-potable water symbol, which is a little water faucet with a no through it. The do not litter symbol. Passport control, the little official guy holding a passport. The train going down the mountain. The Rolodex, which is funny that they still have that. And the logo for baggage claim, which is a little piece of luggage in a rectangle. So there you go. Those are some of the least used.
Interesting.
Emojis.
Yeah, because at least all the country flags, they have an inset audience for each of those. Someone's going to use them eventually.
Guaranteed. I don't even know if these count as emojis, but if you scroll far enough down in the symbol picker, there are like the dominoes, like the chess pieces.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely some
fun ones.
It's like all kinds of
stuff.
Playing cards. Emoji. There's a whole deck of cards in there.
Wow. You know, you pay for one, they give you the whole deck. It's crazy. How do they make any money on this thing? Yeah, I do like all the no symbols. There's no smoking, no bicycling, no running. an 18 with a line through it. No one under 18. No phones. I gotta be more negative in my emojis. Fantastic. So anyway, what's the scoop, guys? It's been a little while since we've been together. Summertime, we're usually some busy gents. I've seen Colby in person since our last recording. Dan, I know you've been off the charts.
Yeah. Wait, when was the last time we did a show?
That would be back in June 26th.
June 26th.
like,
Okay, so
3
I had
weeks.
just come back from the New York thing. Wait, but was I there? No, I wasn't
No,
there
you
for that
missed
one.
that one. That was just Colby and I.
I was gonna say, yeah. Let's see. Yeah, all sorts of things have happened. Went to New York. Continued to enjoy the ability to use Apple Pay to pay for the subway. Which is great. Any other interesting New York things that happened? Well, we went to this well, actually, I won't tell that story. I'll tell you all later.
Okay, fair
Don't
enough.
want that one. Don't want that one recorded.
Fair enough.
Dan committed a crime.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was mostly a lot of work. Went to Victoria, Canada. That was exciting. And
Named after the Queen.
Named after
I don't know if
a
that's true.
queen.
Yeah.
I believe it was named after a queen, and this was, so we stayed in this fancy hotel, and called, I forget what it was called, but they had all of these photos of a queen. I don't know if they were photos. I guess they were. They're like very early photos of what appeared to be a queen, and I assumed that this was the titular Queen Victoria, if you will, and it was not. It was the queen who visited Victoria, stayed at this hotel, and then gifted this hotel a china set, which is used for their afternoon tea. And their afternoon tea is like a whole production.
Mm.
Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plates. So that was interesting. Another interesting thing that happened in Victoria was it's a seaside town. It's very picturesque, but not necessarily a vacation destination, I would think. And in the harbor was a giant green boat. And if you looked at it for a little bit, you'd recognize that it was a yacht, but it didn't look like other yachts. It was like very minimalist. It was just green. It had no deck. It didn't have the helicopter pad, but it was huge. And then we took a tour one day, and the tour guide mentioned like, oh, that boat is worth $100 million. And fun fact, it costs $10 million a year to operate. And I was like, I have to know where do those $10 million go every year? Like, what are the expenses? And the most shocking thing, and I Googled it, and he was right, or at least the internet agrees with him that it is worth $100 million. It's owned by the guy who owns Anheuser-Busch. I don't know what he was doing in Victoria, Canada for the entire week, and he'd been there for some time, or his boat has been at least.
Right.
There are, I think it was 6 or 8 crew members are required to operate the boat, but only 4 people can stay on it. So the number of people on the boat, or maybe it was six guests and 8 crew members. That sounds more right. 6 guests and 8 crew members. So the guests are, I don't even know what you call the people. The people who are not required for the boat to operate are outnumbered by the people who are required for the boat to operate. Which seems weird for a boat, but I have to imagine that's where all the money goes, or not all of it, but some of it, because I don't think you can just pick up anyone off the street and say, hey, like, I'd like to hire you to drive this giant yacht for a couple days. I think you have to have a staff, and that means you have to have more than those amount of people on payroll, because what if someone gets sick or something? I don't know. So that was just very eye-opening. And have we lost Sean?
I don't know.
The kids are taking over. So yeah, that was Victoria, Canada. It was pretty cool. We took a boat there from Seattle. So we got into Canada yet another way besides flying, and did the passport control over there and everything. It was pretty crazy.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's is customs in a boat port different?
Not really. Not really. You get off the boat and then you're well, I imagine it worked the same way when you mentioned that you took the cruise and you get shuffled into this building and kind of like in another country, there's this line and there's a certain number of people processing people and then you go through.
Right.
The weird thing about visiting Canada is I think before you even go, they ask you if you've ever been convicted of a DUI. Because in Canada, that's a felony and you are not allowed to enter the country ever if you've ever been convicted of a drunk driving. Yep.
Well,
So
I've never been convicted of drunk driving.
I
Boy,
think
boy, am I gonna think twice.
that's
next
a
time
strong
I'm
deterrent. There's
out
a
at
lot
the
of nice
bar.
stuff in Canada.
Yeah, Niagara Falls, the other side. Snow,
Banff.
Banff. Oh yeah, Banff. The water's so blue.
I know. I would love to go. Doop. So let's see. I think those are all the exciting things that have happened to me, except for going swimming in the lake last weekend.
Nice.
Yeah. How about you? What have you been up to
Uh,
since? So wait, what does this mean? Was this mean the last podcast that I was on was June 5th? Looks like it.
June 5th. Oh
Yep.
my god. I have to open my calendar. Let's see what has happened. So most recently, Phil rolled through town. He stayed at my house for like 8 hours.
I heard about
Like,
this.
Got here at 11 p.m.
Right.
We slept, and then he left at like 8 in the morning.
I see. And just like that, he was gone.
Yeah, he brought me some creme de cacao from Vietnam
Ooh.
because apparently he's friends with a person who started a distillery in Vietnam,
Ooh.
and they're trying to make whiskey, but the problem with whiskey is you have to age it. So at the beginning, you have to find other things to do to make money.
Now, do you know about one of my favorite cocktails of the 20th century?
Vaguely, but can you remind me?
I
what's it?
I reposted it in the chat. It uses creme de
Nice.
cacao, and
This is perfect.
yeah, actually, there's another version. Hang on a second. That's one version.
Creme de cacao is one of those things where like you don't come across things that use it that often, and when I do, I usually just think like, oh well, I don't have any of that, so I just never make it. But now,
Yeah, so there's the 19th and the 20th century cocktails.
hmm,
One uses gin, one uses bourbon.
ooh,
So depending on what you're in the mood for, but both use creme de cacao.
amazing. Boy, I wish I had this before we started the show.
Sean, are you back?
Am I back?
It sounds like it.
Okay, that's encouraging. All of a sudden, you two just like your screens just blacked out, and I thought I was the one still going, but turns out you two were the ones still going. So, but I was
We
afraid
split
to.
off into two different universes.
I was afraid because it was like the only thing I think was refreshing the page, and then you get that like changes may not be saved, leave, and I'm like, oh no, I was really scared, so I had to build up the courage to hit refresh. So don't let me interrupt the thrilling conversation from my absence.
Cocktail talk.
Oh,
Well, Phil stayed at my house for 8 hours, and he brought me a bottle of creme de cacao, which is like
it's
like
very nice.
chocolate liqueur. But we were just talking about cocktails that use
Well,
that.
Although, hang on though, because he brings you chocolate liqueur, delicious, fantastic, on trend. He comes to my house. He brings me gross plum liqueur that you can't make a single cocktail with, no matter how much you Google, and it's weird. I feel about that. I got to be honest.
Sorry, Sean. Yeah, you can try some of
Bummy.
the creme de cacao when you come back.
Yeah, there you go. This weekend, I'm going to see I'm seeing so much cold. You know what? This is. I got to tell you
Wait,
guys.
Phil,
This has been the summer of me leaving I've never been more socially active in my life. Colby and I, we hung out for an afternoon for his birthday. We went to Maryland. We're going to Seattle. We're going to New York City in September. I mean, like, come on. This is it.
True.
It's finally
Is it-
happening.
Is this what's his name? Dean, what's his name? Are you doing that bit? Who am I thinking of?
What bit?
2008 presidential candidate Dean.
Oh, Howard Dean.
Howard Dean. There we go.
And we're going to Oregon.
Seattle.
And we're going to Maryland. And then we're going to take him back to the White House. Yeah! I'm fired up,
the
guys.
good old
I'm
days.
fired up. And what's going to happen is tomorrow night, or tomorrow when I get home from work, my mother's going to say, Sean, what were you doing on the show last night? You were so loud. And I'm going to say I was celebrating the summer of action.
I know. We need to come up with a term for this. There's hot girl summer, but what is this?
Bland boy summer.
Podcast
No,
boy summer.
So it has to have something to do with Sean. It has to have the name Sean in it.
Uh-huh. The Sean Get Some Sun tour. We'll work on that. We'll come up. So, I mean, I do have to ask.
Pretty tan for.
Thank you. I'm not. But thank you for saying it's all in the lighting and in the little gleam of sweat. I've also never sweated more than I have this summer. That could be all the pounds I've gained, but it's also been a hot summer. And I was going to ask you, Colby, I actually had a question for you. You spent 8 hours in a car driven by me, going through New York and through New Jersey and Connecticut. I got to ask, how would you rate the experience? Tell the people. You can be honest. Hey, listen, I'm not going to take any offense here.
I wouldn't do it all the time, but I do enjoy revisiting all the Sean Jennings approved road car games of my youth. So I remember them all.
I'm such a dad when I drive.
Right.
And did you enjoy the Sean Jennings approved road trip playlists, aka the CDs that are in the car?
I wish I had CDs. No, music
Oh, no,
took the
no
back
more-
seat. No.
Sirius
No.
XM.
Yeah. They DJ. Although I did joke with them. You know, with the satellite radio, they have like a loop. And if you drive long, it's like a 6-hour loop. But if you drive long enough, you'll notice the same station starts to play the same songs in the same order. It's pretty funny.
Yeah.
So that's how I knew we had enough.
I had fun though. It was solid. We did a little Dan. We did like a friend's pilgrimage because we stopped. So me and Laura and Heather drove in Heather's car to Kaylee's in North Haven, or where do they live? Hamden?
It's New Haven or North Haven, and I always mix them up. I'm with you.
And so we drove to Connecticut, and then we stopped at their house and saw their baby. And Sean met us and picked us up, and then we drove on to Maryland.
Wow.
Yeah, we stopped at one of the Jersey Turnpike rest stops that everyone talks about.
Vince
all the
Lombardi, it's
time.
the good one.
Yeah, it was fancier than any other rest stop I've ever been to. We had Dunkin' Donuts from a great Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it was like a shed.
Yeah, it had no inside. Like you couldn't go inside. You could go through the drive-through or walk up to the window and order. And it was excellent Dunkin' Donuts. The coffee was great.
It was actually. It was very good.
Yeah. It was a 10 out of 10 road trip, you know.
Land Boy Summer's off to a hot start.
Mm-hmm. Off to a temperate start.
All right, I've got ChatGPT come up with some ideas for what to call this summer thing.
Nice.
Sean's Sunshine Shenanigan Summer. That's a tough one to say. Sean's
Very
Summer of
alliterative.
Surprises. Simmering
Oh,
Sean's
that's
Summer.
threatening. Okay.
Sean's
Simmering.
Scintillating Summer Saga.
Oh.
Sean's Summer Shakeup. The Transformation of Tame Sean, a Sizzling Summer.
Okay, that's top
that's
to
a
top.
little- Sean's Sparkling Summer Splurge.
Okay. These are what was the long one? Read that again.
The Transformation of Tame Sean, a Sizzling Summer.
That's fantastic. It's got a subtitle. I mean, how do you do better than that? That's awesome.
Should we get
Title.
T-shirts?
Yeah. Yes.
The tough thing's going to be, though, following it up with Sean's depressed and anxious gray winter. It's going to be awesome.
Have we talked about my screen door? I think we did, and how it
Yes.
constantly pops itself open. It just popped itself open, so I'm gonna go close it again.
Okay, we'll handle things from here. I don't know how we're going to handle things from here. I said that and I wasn't thinking. It was very foolish of me.
Just shut off the. Why is Dan's camera moving? Oh, he has the weird computer. It's following him.
I'm getting like dizzy.
Ah. It looks like it's moving.
Awesome. So what else is good, guys? I did have a talking point question if you were interested.
Always.
Sure.
A discussion point, because I like ice cream. I'm not a huge ice cream guy. But I was in why are you giving me that look, Colby? What's that look?
Shaking my head.
I don't want it at home, actually. I like eating ice cream out. I don't eat a lot at home. Anyway,
Okay,
I was going down the ice cream aisle at the supermarket, and the confections are out of control. They have every type of bar, every type of stick, every type of cone. I'm not talking about like the tub of ice cream. I'm talking about the pre-made, different.
Got chocolate. They got everything you can imagine.
And I left with a box of plain sandwich bar ice cream bars. The ones with a little chocolate, and then the white vanilla ice cream in between, your classic schoolyard sandwich bar ice cream. And it was amazing, but I was going to ask you guys, do you guys have a preferred ice cream confection that you look forward to in a hot summer like this?
And what counts as a confection? This is not a topping, or is it a topping?
No, it would be anything that's not a scoop or a topping, not a sundae or anything like a pre-made. You take the wrapper,
something you'd get from like the ice cream truck.
a Klondike bar, or a fudgesicle or anything like that.
Got it.
I like Klondike bars. I always like. My grandma used to always have creamsicles. It's a classic, like the orange. It was like orange on the outside and vanilla on the inside, but like weird flavors.
Very unnatural. That was a very like 60s food concoction when they learned what chemicals were.
Right? It's like you can eat them.
It tastes like orange and vanilla. And you're like, that's not right.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I regularly have that meets this description is an ice cream sandwich. Does that even count?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just pure ice cream.
You just go right for the scoop.
Yeah. I
Now,
like
were you
things
wi-
on my ice cream.
Well, what do you like on your ice cream?
I
Let's do
like
that.
if there's an ice cream incorporates Butterfinger in an interesting way. I think that's really good. A vanilla with Butterfinger in it ice cream, like a sort of I don't know what like the milkshakes with the candy blended up in them sort of situation.
Yeah, the Blizzard
The
kind of
blizzards, or
Right.
there's what's the McDonald's call them?
McFlurry.
There we go. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I used to love the Butterfinger McFlurry.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
To a real one.
Well, you can get them at a lot of normal ice cream shops. If you look on the menu, they'll have some analogous flurry thing.
Right.
But that's it for me. There's an ice cream place here. Did I tell you about the weird ice cream place that does only bizarre flavors in Seattle called Salt and Straw?
No.
It's
No.
Let's pull up what their current flavors are. Let's see. Flavors. Okay, their current thing isn't that weird because it's berry themed. Wild Forage berry slab, goat cheese Marionberry habanero. That's weird. And then honey lavender is a classic. Cinnamon snickerdoodle, olive oil ice cream, pear and blue cheese. Salted malted coconut chip cookie dough. All really good.
I want to go there.
This is cool.
We can make that happen.
This is
like
cool.
ice
I'm you know me, I am a sucker for like special flavors. Like I'll try whatever the wacky new so this kind of stuff's right up my alley.
I just like the cold. The texture of ice cream is good. I mean, I like that it's sweet. But I like
But are
the
you?
texture.
But do you
Imagine
like?
if it was savory. It would be like
I'm sure someone's done it.
Still.
cold chicken pate or something.
Oh God, that not that. No, but like,
I'm just trying to think of an analogous savory texture.
like.
I think my point, Colby, is I think it is important that it's sweet.
Oh man.
Well, here's an article from Brit.co: savory ice cream recipes. Sweet corn ice
It
cream.
has the word sweet in it.
Okay, your queso cheddar cheese ice cream.
That sounds
Okay.
great.
Sriracha ice cream. That's not that exciting. Let's see what else is on here.
I want like
No
a-
churn buttered popcorn and candied bacon ice cream. Yeah, these aren't particularly
Maybe.
savory. I felt very misled.
Right. It has bacon in it.
I wanted like
That's
pork
technically
ice
savory.
cream.
Barbecue ice cream.
Yeah, and if you're gonna go, you know.
Hey, that does have some sweetness in it, though. I don't think that would be that bad.
That's true. Wow. Yeah, I want some weird ice creams. The San Francisco had good weird ice creams.
Mhm.
Really excellent weird ice creams. And it just like doesn't exist here, really. Like there are local ice cream places like JP Licks is a Boston institution where like they have like interested like they have flavors you can't buy at the grocery store, but it's just like it's ice cream. It's the I feel like it falls into the large circle of the Venn diagram or something. I don't know. It's not weird. It's good, but it's not weird. I
Well,
miss
I-
weird ice cream.
That's surprising. You think
Maybe
you
I'm
get
just
some?
not
You think
looking
you
in
get
the
some
right
MIT
place.
kids in there, making some ice cream that's never existed before.
Yeah, maybe I'm not. I just haven't tried the right location.
Well, that's an interesting concept for an ice cream place. Here we go. We're always inventing new businesses here on the show. I'm shocked we're not billionaires. When we were at the Yankee Candle Factory,
Oh.
Colby and I, they have a
Whoa,
yeah.
how'd
I'm
you
gonna
end
get
up
to
there?
I'm gonna get to ice cream. I promise. They have a thing you can do where you can make your own candle smell. So they'll give you a neutral wax, and they have like 50 different scents, and you can mix in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and they'll make the candle right in front of you. And then you take your candle home. Why couldn't you start with a neutral ice cream base with a wide selection of flavor ingredients? Obviously, not necessarily big. Some could be big chunks, but it could just simply be flavors, and concoct your own ice cream like there.
I mean, that's basically what Cold Stone was, right?
Yeah, but I mean, I want to get really like, A, I want to get crazy, and B, it's not just mix-ins. Like, you really start with a
Sure.
neutral base, like as plain as you can make it.
Right. It's only vanilla ice cream. That's it.
Yeah, and then it's like you want to put honey in it, go right ahead. You want to put other things, go right ahead.
I guess.
Have you guys seen the Ninja Creamy?
No.
Yes.
This is like the new trendy giant expensive thing for your counter, where it is a ice cream maker from the Ninja people, where you can make
what
your
a
own,
sentence.
from our good friends at Ninja, and it will make you ice cream on demand for the low price of you gotta get the better model, $249. And it
All of
uses-
them are out of stock, though. So
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's super popular. Like I'm telling you, these are selling out like crazy because apparently it's got a Creamify technology, and that's trademarked with dual drive motors and the creamerizer paddle.
oh boy.
And you can turn almost anything into ice cream, sorbet, milkshakes, and more with Creamify technology.
Challenge accepted.
So that's what I'm saying. So we could really mix it up,
Literally mixing it up.
Literally. You can Creamify anything. It's a dream come true. It's an 11
Isn't
in
that
one
what
machine.
they do with like bodies?
Creamify them.
They're cremated,
That's
I guess.
Cremation.
Same thing.
They are walking a dangerous line there.
Yeah.
It's a fine line. So here you go. So with this, you can make ice cream, sorbet, gelato, Italian ice, slushy, a cremacino, whatever that is, frozen yogurt, and frozen drinks right at home. So you can make cocktails. You can make frozen cocktails with this thing.
I mean, I have a blender.
Yeah, but it doesn't have cream. Does your blender have creamify technology?
No,
So
it's a non-cremating blender.
they got you there. Can't really argue with that. Anyway, I just had to mention because I've seen people buy this and I'm like, I'm all for the stupid kitchen gadget. There's no possible way you can make so much ice cream. This is cost effective. Or requires, like, Colby, I would love for you to find room in your kitchen for a creamy.
We do have the KitchenAid ice cream maker attachment, which is like,
But that's a lot more efficient.
right. It's a little more practical. But yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw a wire cutter thing about the Ninja Creamy, and they said
Not so much. Not so much.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Wow.
Is the KitchenAid ice cream maker attachment just a different bowl?
It's a bowl and also a mixer
Oh,
attachment.
I
thing.
see.
So the bowl is like, it's like if you made an ice pack into a KitchenAid bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to freeze the bowl overnight before you use it, and then you make your ice cream base, and then you put the bowl in your KitchenAid with the special paddle thing, and then you like pour in your ice cream base. And the coldness of the bowl makes with the spinning makes your goop into ice cream.
And what is your review of this appliance?
It works okay. It's the problem we have. It takes a lot of forethought. Like, we don't have enough room in our freezer to keep the bowl in the freezer. So if you want to do it, you have to remember to put the bowl in the freezer. And also, like, often ice cream bases are like, you make it and then you let it sit in the fridge overnight and then you make your ice cream. So it's like a double whammy of thinking ahead. We've only done it a couple times. They came out pretty good, though. It was tasty. Actually, now I want to do it again. All this talk about ice cream.
That was my trick with this line of questioning.
In the fridge.
Just to get you hungry. Get them hungry.
So hungry.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, any other assorted nonsense happening here?
No.
No.
It's all sense in these parts.
Well, speaking of nonsense, there are some tech stories in the rundown here. Middle of the summer, slow time for tech news, so not a ton to talk about, but there's haptic feedback shirts for video games. There's the new default font in Office, new emojis this year, transmitting Wi-Fi by light, YouTube videos at double the speed. Any of that sound appealing? Or something else?
Light?
What? Let's talk about it. It's not Wi-Fi, it's Li-Fi. Get it? Because lies for light. There's a new standard from the IEEE, pronounced A, who is behind Wi-Fi. It uses infrared to transmit data between 10 megabits per second all the way up to 9.6 gigabits per second using invisible infrared light. It's officially recognized as a physical layer for wireless local area networks, which means that because it's official, it's not going to compete against Wi-Fi. They'll be interoperable. As I'm reading farther down the article, the cool thing about it is it's very fast. It's also very difficult to hack because it's happening over light. Unfortunately, it can't go through a wall, so it requires a direct line of sight with not too much radio interference. So it's got pros and cons. The interesting thing is the combination of Wi-Fi and Li-Fi together, powering each other at the same time, improving one another. Wi-Fi when there's not a direct line, those sorts of things. We're certainly a long way from this being a thing in most people's homes, but already there's companies saying they're going to be putting out things like light bulbs that include both Wi-Fi and Li-Fi as a way to improve local networks.
Light bulbs. Weird. Does it not work if you stand in front? like the people get in the way too? I assume so.
Yes.
Sounds inconvenient.
Yeah, I don't know how useful this will be. And is anyone complaining that their Wi-Fi is too slow?
I don't know. My Wi-Fi is great now. I got a new router.
Does it
Changed
say?
my life.
Does it say what the latency is? Like, I imagine because that could be useful, but right? Because like I think the only problem that people have with Wi-Fi these days is if they're trying to play video games or do conference calls over it. Sometimes it's a little bit laggy. But you wouldn't want to do either of those things where if the dog stands in the wrong place, you just get disconnected either. So I don't like it. It reminds me of, remember like the 90s, the laptops had the infrared port and you could put two laptops next to each other. They could connect over infrared.
Hell yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
I never actually
want
got to use
more
that.
of
I
that.
remember reading about it, which sounded cool, but doesn't sound that generally useful.
So there's the company that is first coming out with items that use Li-Fi. They have a little list here of benefits. More connections without congestions. It doesn't use radio frequencies. So if you're in an area, I think of parts like, one time I work in a screw factory, next to a screw factory. We tried to fly a drone through there once for a dramatic shot. And when we took it up, it immediately nosedived and crashed. There was so much radio interference inside that metal building that infrared could potentially offer an alternative. There's also the security benefits, inherently secure because it's a direct line of light, so you physically have to be there to be in between it.
Does the heavy lifting of a high bandwidth test.
So it's sort of like
Device will switch to direct Wi-Fi for heavy tasks. It's kind of that idea.
where if you have a very large file, it may use the alternative. So there are a few benefits, at least, that could potentially. I don't think you'd ever get all your internet over it, but it's an interesting secondary way, I would suppose, just in case.
Oh, I see. In the little diagram, it's like in the ceiling. It's like a light shining down upon you and your device.
Yes, which I'm so excited for all the people who say they're allergic to Wi-Fi to start getting these, because then they're really going to have a bad day.
Sure. Infrared.
In my brain.
Weird.
So there you go. You never know. All right. That is one story, gentlemen. What else? What else? What else? What else? What else? Don't.
It's
all jump
crazy
at
that
once.
there hasn't been more, but I guess it is the summer.
Yeah, normally there's a couple. There's usually one or two big stories I kind of avoid just because they're kind of complex. We haven't really talked about the Microsoft Activision FTC thing, but
Right.
Microsoft
We haven't talked
won.
about Threads and Mastodon and Blue Sky and Twitter and
Yeah.
co-host and
Well, we can't. I thought about including on the rundown. We can talk about it. My whole thing on Threads is I think it's just too early.
too early.
Apparently everyone signed up, then nobody was using it because everyone said the numbers crashed, but Twitter's numbers also crashed, so people are using something. So I don't know that Thread. I used it on the first 2 days and then stopped using Threads. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you guys use?
I got overwhelmed with all the algorithmic content. Like I followed like 3 people, and there were trillions of things in my.
There's some
feed.
very dumb stuff
Didn't
out
wanna
there.
Watch any of it. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, I signed up for it. I read it once a day, and it's mostly me. It's mostly the guy, the Instagram co-founder, saying things, which is kind of interesting, and then celebrities and politicians, which is a niche that I have been missing since Twitter imploded. So I get some value from that. But I'm mostly using Mastodon is mostly where the people that are saying things that are interesting to me are saying them. It's where I like actually find links and click on them and actually read them and enjoy it. So that's the one I read most closely. And Blue Sky seems to have become like, I think someone made this joke early on, but hey, you liked what Twitter was. Come join Blue Sky. It's exactly the same. And it's true of the UI. It's true of the like the main characterishness of it all and everything. And I think, there can be benefits to that. But it's very much like stepping back in time there. And Mastodon feels more like an RSS feed with people talking.
Yeah.
Which is what I want, I think, in my old age.
Yeah.
I like Mastodon too.
Yeah, Dan, your
So-
recommendations really helped flesh mine out. So thank you
good.
for that. That's probably after Twitter, my second most used. Blue Sky, the app signed me out at some point, and then I just never signed back in. That one just sort of never caught on. I'm still mostly on Twitter, to my great shame and embarrassment. But the problem I did with Threads was I started following all my Twitter followers on Threads, hoping it'd be a replacement, but now the two feeds are the same. So it's not really doing much for me, unfortunately.
Right. They're the same. Social media.
Yes, sir. Still a thing. Whether you like it or
But
not.
barely.
Only just.
It doesn't feel like it's still a thing to me in the
That's
way
an
that
interesting question.
in the way that it used to be. Like, I think in the 2010s, and now we have to come up with a name for that, like we did with the aughts. There was this idea of like, here's the social network that is like a big tent social network for everything. Facebook, there's like many different kinds of people on Facebook. Not everyone, but many different kinds. It's not just, Twitter, but for math professors. It's like everything. Same thing with Twitter. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram wasn't just celebrities, and it wasn't just photographers, and it wasn't just lifestyle influencers. It was everything. Now it feels more like this is Twitter for math professors, which is great. There are a lot of benefits to Twitter for math professors. If you're a math professor or you want to learn about math, that's going to be way more helpful. But you're never going to see something that's not that. And also, it's sort of unequivocally obvious when you should ban someone. It's like this, sir, this is a Wendy's. Like, sir, this is math Twitter. We're not here to talk about why Holocaust denialism. But then on the other hand, that's the way the internet used to be before 2008 or so. And it was great back then. Forums, love me a good forum. So I'm optimistic and interested in the marketer's perspective, because last time we talked about this, Sean, you were like, like nothing's really changed. But I don't know if things are changing. But it does seem like in 10 years things will have changed. I don't think Twitter is going to be the Twitter that it was. And I don't think that there will be another social network in the future that is everybody. It might be just young people. It might be just math nerds, but it won't be this is a cross section of any given country's society. That's my hot take.
That is very interesting. I would argue TikTok is that now. Pretty intersectional. But for me,
are there older people on TikTok? But
I
yeah,
think
that's
there
true.
are.
There's like, cooking and pets and
It's the everything app
businesses.
for content.
Yeah, that's true.
From the marketer perspective, it's just, this answer is simply where the people are. We're tech people. We care about the platforms. Marketing people don't give a shit at what the platform is. Doesn't matter. It's just where the people are. That's why TikTok's hot right now, because they've got more people than everyone else. If
But
Threads
don't
suddenly...
marketers also, like, there are other things that they care about. You could have a huge social network with no click-throughs, right? And then no one's going to buy ads on your thing.
Yeah, but here's the thing: you don't need big click-throughs if you've got. I will tell you, as someone who has ran like Instagram ads and stuff, the click-through's not great. It's really not. But you got people seeing them. Now, certain platforms do have different benefits, right? LinkedIn is a very different audience than Instagram. But if you're Pepsi and you're just going for pure volume, you're going to go to where the people are, regardless of what you're trying to accomplish. So there's that element. But for me, I think the most interesting trend that I've seen is the early days of social networking. MySpace, Facebook at its inception was very small networks, very personal networks. And as it grew very wide. As you look at an Instagram or a Twitter or a TikTok, where it's been very follow the world, follow everybody, trends, wide. And I feel like it's becoming narrow again.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you were getting to this a little bit, Dan, where you look at platforms. Honestly, don't sleep on Snapchat. I'm serious. We're old, so we don't. Young people are still using it. Platforms like that, I think Instagram is going to start pivoting a little more insular, and that's why I think Mastodon's a great example of a very more insular networks. Facebook Groups is a great example. That's blown up over the last couple of years because I just don't think there's an appetite as much for a Twitter of the world. And by the way, TikTok is popular because it's algorithmic. So you're not actually getting the world. You're getting your little insular world of things you like. So that to me is the next. Maybe it'll widen again in the future, but in the short term, I think it's going to be a lot more about your friends, very specific people you want to hear from, and algorithmically fed stuff.
Yeah. Do you think like do a lot of people post on TikTok, or is it like, I don't have a TikTok because I'm old, but is it more like, I don't know, like, do you post on TikTok, Sean? Should I be following you on TikTok, or are you just there to like have
I don't post on any social media anywhere. I'm very much the quiet guy, but I will tell you, as somebody who works with people in their 20s, unlike ancient 30-year-olds like us, they do. And they actually try, and it's not just like, it's funny. One of my favorite things every day is Facebook memories, where they do that thing where it's like 11 years ago what you posted, because it's so fascinating how different it is now. Back in those days, it was like going to work, can't wait to see you guys this weekend. And now the content is like generated with the purpose of getting a reaction, or of it's shot like a movie, like you're scripting it ahead of time. And I do think people, especially at a younger age, are doing that on TikTok.
Sure.
And I think that's going to go away, because I think people are soon going to realize the juice ain't worth the squeeze. You're not going to get what you want out of it. And they'll go back to more friend-to-friend content.
Sure. That makes sense.
But I'm also the world's worst expert on this. So, and by the way, as an advertiser, as a marketer, I'll tell you, I do not give a shit about Threads, don't give a shit about Mastodon, don't even really give a shit about Twitter, mainly because of how volatile it is. You go to TikTok and you go to places where the people are, and those, you still get a great return on your money. So, stick, even Facebook, you go where you know.
Sure. Social media.
Yeah, I don't get off this crazy train. I don't want to do this anymore.
Do we still stream on Facebook? Do we stream live? Are we live right now?
Colby, we're live in the triple cast. We're live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch.
Oh my god.
Simultaneously.
Simulcast.
Remember when we first started and we were using Google Hangouts on air?
I do.
back in
Those
the day.
good old
Poor-
days.
Which, by the way, we didn't mention this. It's just a tough time. We blew past our 10-year anniversary in June
Wow.
because we were just doing stuff.
And by blew past, you mean totally missed it because we didn't have a show that day.
Totally missed it. Yeah, no, the 19th, June 19th, 2013 was our first ever episode recorded,
Wow.
if you can believe it.
We did it 1 decade.
I can't think of anything I've done consistently for a decade. That is mental. I actually did try to count how many times the three of us collectively moved in that 10 years.
Oh, like location, like homes?
Yes.
Mm.
And I think it was over 20, I think, by the time I finished counting. It was a pretty healthy number.
I mean, I did at least 5 or 6.
Yeah, because I mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think I did.
I did 5. Wow.
How many? Oh, total, not just between countries, states.
Yeah, like apartments. I'm thinking for you. I know, Dan, you 1, 2, 3.
5.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're just shy of 20.
Wow.
It's a lot of moving.
It's too many.
Right.
Colby moved to the West Coast, came back. Dan moved to the West Coast. I moved to Houston and back.
I was gonna say you two got me beat on miles.
That's because we returned, Dan. We're waiting for you here. We're ready with open arms.
Sean, what is the Houston baseball team?
Oh,
Is it
that would be
the Astros?
your Houston Astros. Even Dan knows that one.
Come on,
Right.
yeah. And they
know
had
we-
the big scandal with the thing.
Home run
Did they?
with the thing. You mean the garbage can?
I don't know what it was, but wasn't there? They were in the news
Yes,
after
they
we saw
cheated.
them. Yeah.
What they would do is they would bang on a trash can to to steal pitches, essentially.
Nice.
Very old school.
Nice. Someone was asking the other day what the Houston baseball team was. And I was like, it's the Houston Astros, but for some reason it just didn't feel right.
The Houston Astronauts, as no
I
one's
think
ever
I was
called them,
getting them confused with the Expos, which
which
no
don't
longer
exist
exist.
anymore.
right. Right. And so I was getting my wires crossed, and it felt like I know there was a team called the Houston Astros.
Well, how about the Houston basketball team, related to the Astros in name?
The Meteors,
No, but you're getting there.
the Grasses,
That's farther away. No, it's the Houston
know.
Rockets.
the Rockets.
The
I don't know
Rockets.
basketball.
And then they have the very uncleverly named football team, the Houston Texans. Really thought
Right,
hard about
the
that one.
Texans.
And I'll give you $1 million if you can name the soccer team.
Ugh, I can't.
I was talking with somebody today about this. You know, one of the things I love about Major League Soccer, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the teams, but MLS expanded a lot recently. The original teams in the MLS all have cheesy 90s names, where it's like the San Jose Earthquake and the Houston Dynamo. like it's these really lame team names. All the new teams, like the other half, all have European style names. So it's like Kansas City Football Club. And so you'll see the ticker go by and it'll be like the San Jose Earthquakes played, New York, or Inter Miami is the new expansion team. And that just always makes me laugh.
Nice.
That's a strange juxtaposition.
Do they have like mascots still, or is it just?
I don't
no
know if
funny
they have.
business. It's just
They're again, say European style. They're very. They got the scarves, the rally scarves. Which, by the way, do you guys know Major League Cricket is starting in the U.S.?
Oh my God, no.
I was talking to a colleague of mine who's a cricket fan, and apparently next year the World Cricket Cup is happening in the U.S. It's like the soccer World Cup, but for cricket. And so there are how many? There's 6 teams in the U.S. league. The Los Angeles Knight Riders, the San Francisco Unicorns. What is this one? This is New York, but their logo doesn't have
that is I can't tell if that's the best or worst name. The San Francisco
Washington-
Unicorns. If
the
if
Washington
it were any
Freedom.
other city,
The Texas Super Kings, and I have got to show you my absolute favorite. I actually am very seriously considering buying a hat with this one. Let me share my screen. Dan, they're in your neck of the woods. I'm of course talking about the Seattle Orcas. And it's an
hell
angry
yeah.
orca with a crown and a cricket bat. And I think that's just fantastic.
ripped straight from the headlines. You've been reading about all the orcas attacking the boats.
Yeah, man. They're
Heard it
vicious
here
for
first
cricket.
last year. I'm pretty sure I told you all about this last year.
You saw it firsthand.
It's true.
So those are your team. I just love the logo. Like if you just saw that, you'd have no idea what that was about. So
I think the San Francisco Unicorns have a really missed opportunity with their logo. That is extremely boring for a unicorn. That's
And
just a horse with a triangle on top. Come on. No rainbows, no fluffy tail.
no, it's not very. It's very generic.
The Knight Rider's got something cool.
They got it going on. The Texas Super Kings, that is very confusing.
Yeah.
And MI New York, I don't even know what the MI stands for.
That looks like a hurricane. Yeah.
Yeah,
That should be the Miami team.
not thought out. But anyway, Dan, maybe we can go see a Seattle Orcas game
I will look into it.
because they are currently in season. But I think they all play in two cities, North Carolina, and then there's one other city that they're playing. They're not playing in Seattle.
That kind of defeats the purpose. doesn't it?
Damn.
A little bit. I think eventually they'll expand, but turns out there aren't a lot of cricket grounds in the U.S. for them to use. So, anyway, I get distracted. Anyway, guys, I think it's about that time that we pivot on over to the part of the show where we do picks. Each of us brings something we want to share and talk about with the world, and we've got a real range here of picks, and I think we're going to have, I don't think he ever really gets to go first. Dan, what are you starting us with?
A couple months ago, there was a demo for this game called Viewfinder. And what it is it's like a very simple premise and extremely magical. It would make a great VR game. Is you're in this 3D space, you have a camera. When you take a picture of something, you can take it and put it in other places and walk through it. So that's the whole premise. And you can manipulate that to do crazy shit. Like take a picture of a door that's up there and then just move it down here. And then you can like walk into the picture and open the door. It's really, really cool. It's a lot of fun. Anyone can play it. It requires no, dexterity or anything like that. It's just a really fun puzzle game. And it's coming out tomorrow on PS5 and the computer, called Viewfinder.
PlayStation.
So what have you been playing it on?
I played the demo on the computer.
But the full game's being released.
Yep.
That is fantastic. And yes, this does look, it would be hella cool in VR.
Yeah, it would be kind of nauseating, but not in like a, walking around, not because of it be action packed, but just like, it's like an Escher painting.
That is super cool. I'm a gamer, but I'm
and kind of like a I'm watching the video now. Kind of like the Vision Pro photos. The photos are volumetric, so you take the photo, and then if you move off axis, it's actually a 3D photo. And so like all of those objects are kind of there. It's so crazy. It feels like a magic trick. And it feels like you've given your computer or your PlayStation like a new capability it never had before, but it's all just 2D on the screen.
Whoa.
fantastic.
Watching the video, it looks crazy.
You always find the fun stuff, man. That's awesome. Look forward to that. Viewfinder coming soon to a Steam or PlayStation near you. Thank you, Dan. I'll go next and we'll let Colby take us home. Guys, I had a coaster catastrophe on my hands. You see, about 10 years ago, I bought these on Etsy.
Classic Sean Jennings coasters.
You've seen these for, listen, you know them, you love them, but they're the worst coasters on the planet. A, because they weigh a ton, because they're like solid. And also because they're totally smooth. If you put a dripping drink on it, the water just runs off of it and totally defeats the purpose. And also, drinks tend to stick to it because of whatever this is made of. And so you'll pick it up with your glass and drop it. It'll make a loud sound. Bad coaster. Bad coaster. And so it was a Wirecutter recommendation. These Graft Lance felt coasters. You can see I'm using one tonight. It's got some condensation on it already. And they're amazing. The quality is fantastic. They look like $1 million. They actually absorb the liquid when you put dripping things on them. And they come in a whole bunch of fun colors and shapes. You can get them rectangle, square, whatever fits your life. The collection I got is cobblestone. But they have about, 12 different color combinations that all look like a lot of fun. So I do highly recommend these merino wool felt coasters from Graft Lance.
I also have a school that I got on Etsy.
Look at that.
The Super Smash Bros. GameCube disc. But it has the same exact problems. So I will check that out.
Yeah, I do. And they do a ton of like this felt material products. They do mats for your desk, and they do all kind of cubbies and buckets and all kinds of cool stuff. So the quality is fantastic. So check that out. Colby, what you watching, bud?
So, a little while ago, Laura listened to the Prince Harry audiobook biography thing, which prompted us to start watching Suits because Meghan Markle was a person was in the show Suits, which is on Netflix now. It's pretty good. It's about lawyers. I assume it's like a documentary about what Lena's life is like most of the time, but
she said that is not true.
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know. It's not a difficult show to watch. You don't need to invest a lot of brain power in it, but it's pretty good. It's doing the thing now. Unfortunately, we're in the 4th season where at the beginning they were doing their lawyering and solving lawyer cases all the time, and now it's sort of everything is about the characters, and every lawyer case they have is somehow it's one of them is in trouble or something, and it just goes on for 5 episodes, and blah blah blah. It's still okay, but I liked it better at the beginning when they just had a lawyer case of the week that they had to solve. More lawyering.
The one thing I could say about Suits, I have not watched a lot of it. In fact, I've watched very little. But the only thing I can recall from my time watching Suits is that they had the fakest looking city skyline in the back of their office. You watch on TV and it's a fake backdrop. It's not really in a skyscraper. And they had the absolute fakest looking one I've ever seen. And that's all I can tell you about Suits.
I never noticed that.
See, now that's all you're going to see. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Maybe it's because maybe you have a 4K TV or something and you just can't see it on my 1080p.
Well, that's having a fascination with how things are made, like television and movies are made. Though that's the kind of stupid stuff I do notice. Because when I'm that looks bad. That looks like a cutout.
I'm gonna try and take more notice.
See, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, check it out. Suits on Netflix. That whole era of those USA shows where they're just
it's very
generic
USA
pilots.
Show. Yeah.
If I would recommend, what's the other? There was another one I watched. Psych is very good.
Sure.
And then was it Royal Pains? Was another one?
Oh yeah, I remember.
Where they're
watching
doctors
that
in the
on
Hamptons.
TV. Yes.
That was not bad. I'm sure there were others too. There were an obscene amount of those that were very forgettable. What was the one? Franklin and Bash was another one.
I never watched that one.
That was the one. It was Mark Paul Gosselaar from Saved by the Bell. Is one of him and another guy are wisecracking lawyers. Nice. And it's very amusing. So good pick. Check it out on Netflix. All right, guys. I think we're heading towards the end here, unless you guys have anything else on your big to-do list. No, I've got one thing on mine. and you know what that is. I got to promote my good friends over at Up for Debate, the podcast I am on with Matt. Guys, we're in the middle of our summer movie series, and that I tentatively named the Ford Movie Company, but Matt did not find that amusing. So you'll learn we come up with another title in our first episode on American Graffiti. This summer, guys, we are covering Harrison Ford movies that aren't Star Wars or Indiana Jones.
Wow.
So we're talking American Graffiti. We're doing the Frisco Kid. We're taping that this week. We have got Patriot Games. We got a whole bunch. We're doing like 6 of them. It's going to be great all summer long. And the first episode, American Graffiti, is going to be up on the feed very soon. So make sure you subscribe and check it out. We had a lot of fun. It's a great movie. If you haven't seen American Graffiti before, it's a lot of fun. And Matt and I definitely had some opinions. So check that out over at upfordebate.tv or wherever you get podcasts. For this show, don'tpanic.io is our fantastic website. We'll have links to the audio, the video, and all the picks will be right there, so you don't have to do the hard searching. We did it for you. You can subscribe wherever you get podcasts. You look for that big red Don't Panic button, and make sure you subscribe to get the latest with the video version on YouTube. And, of course, we're live Monday nights about 9:15 Eastern, 6:15 Pacific on the Triplecast on our YouTube channel, twitch.tv/don'tpanicshow, or on our Facebook page. And lastly, you can get a hold of us at Don't Panic Show on Twitter, or email us don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. I think that's all of the plugs and the links. And I'm out of breath. So we got to wrap it up here. On behalf of Dan and Colby, I'm Sean. We're so thrilled to have you this week. Please come back. We'll see you next time on another great episode of Don't Panic.